Alright, welcome back to New Zero Land. I'm actually in California. I've been gone a long time, but I figured since I'm over here, might as well ride the new Zero SRF. So here are my thoughts. Alright, as a disclaimer, I'm not some huge YouTuber who reviews tons of bikes. In fact, there's already a bunch of videos about the SRF, and they're all pretty good. I'm coming at this as a guy who's already owned a Zero for the past few years. I've ridden other electric motorcycles, and I'm actively searching for a second one. So this review will be heavily electric motorcycle fanboy biased. But that also means I won't be as easily impressed just because it's electric. A couple months ago when they unveiled the SRF, I was kind of on the fence. I wasn't really sure about the styling because it looks just like a gas bike. And the charging, I don't even want to talk about the charging. But finally getting to see it in person, it looks amazing. The fit and finish is really impressive, really professional. Every piece is really well designed. And that blue and red Gulf livery looking paint scheme is so good. It looks so nice in person. I feel like the build quality is definitely a huge step up from previous models. And the new trellis style frame design has a lot of mounting points that could be used for aftermarket fairings or chargers or whatever. So I think it has a lot of potential to be a fun bike to customize. Getting on the bike, the first thing that stood out to me was how low the seat was, which is great for shorter riders. Jen really liked it. But the next thing to hit me right in the crotch, the tank. Why is the tank so big? What are these things on the sides? Why are they there? Why is it so tall? Tanks on electric motorcycles just don't make sense to me. And this is the biggest tank I've ever seen. They did improve the storage area over previous models, and if you wanted to install a power tank, there would still be some space left on top of it. But it's just too big, and it feels ridiculous when you're riding it. And then there's a little hatch for the J-port, which I'm not even going to go there. I'm just going to close this and forget I saw that. The next thing I noticed was the handlebar, which felt really narrow, and I'm not sure if it's because the tank was so huge. Maybe it was just that the handlebar is further from the seat, so it makes it feel more narrow. I'm not sure what was going on, but it felt kind of weird. Next up, foot pegs. In my opinion, they're a bit too high for how low the seat is. That and they're these giant brackets that hold the passenger pegs, and they cut right into where your heel would go. As soon as you straighten the bike up, you feel just how much heavier it is than the old bikes. It does feel more planted when you're riding it, but it also seems to take a lot of effort to get it leaning. I guess because of the extra 70 pounds, it's just not as flickable as I hoped. There's a mode button on the left side that you use to go through eco mode, street mode, and sport mode, but it's placed exactly where a turn signal switch is on most bikes, so I kept accidentally hitting the mode button. It does have a cool new digital display though, and it looks awesome. Full color, tons of information. I didn't play with it very much, but there's some menus in it and you can go in and change some things. I felt like there was a lot of empty space around it though. It didn't seem necessary, like you could just get all the indicators on the sides, like the turn signals, and incorporate them into the screen. It's not really a big deal, I'm just finding things to complain about. So, what's it like to ride? Suspension feels better, brakes feel amazing. At one point we were going about 75 miles per hour and I pinned it just to see how long it would take to get to 100. Between 60 and 80 miles per hour you feel this boost. You immediately notice that you have more power than the old SRs. But then, I think around 85 or 90, that responsive acceleration just dies and the speed slowly climbs after that. I was excited to hear that the SRF could go over 100 miles per hour because that means you can take it to the track. Because whenever I took my SR to the track, you get to 100 and then everybody would fly by you. But even though you can go over 100, it doesn't seem like there's usable power up there. But how often are you going to be going over 100 miles per hour in your daily commute? So the more relevant figure to most people is 0 to 60 time.
Ready? 1, 2, 3.
Apparently if you have a higher state of charge than my 40%, and if you turn off traction control, the bike is capable of 3.2 seconds. So it's quite a bit faster than the SR, but it didn't feel faster. It felt like it was struggling because of all that weight, like it was hauling a trailer behind it. It feels as heavy as the Energica, but the Energica gets around that by having a crazy amount of power, so the weight doesn't bother you as much. Anyway, that's just my opinion. A lot of people are saying it's crazy fast, but I don't know, I just felt like I expected more power from a completely redesigned motor. Maybe it's the controller that just needs some tuning in the future. Maybe there'll be an update or a custom tune that you can make, or track mode. I don't know, we'll see. The SRF is interesting. I like the styling a lot more in person. You know, the frame, the lights, the rear wheel is a work of art. And I went into this test ride knowing I wasn't going to buy one, mostly because of the charging setup. But everybody online has been raving about how fun it is, so I figured at least I would like riding it. But I didn't. So here are some things I would change. Lower the foot pegs, get wider bars, find where that extra 70 pounds came from and try and get rid of it, or add enough power so you don't feel the weight as much, one of those. And lower the price. This is a touchy subject because I know electrics cost more than gas bikes, and I'm okay with that. But when the Energica EVA is exactly the same price, with Olin suspension, Brembo brakes, way more power, and DC fast charging, if you want to upgrade the charging on the SRF, it's another $4,000, and it still takes an hour to charge. What is this, DigiNow? So price-wise, for what you get, I feel like there are better options, and that's hard to ignore. See, when I bought my Zero 3.5 years ago, it was this new, exciting thing. It was electric, and that was enough. That initial shock of, oh my god, it's electric! That faded a long time ago, and now it's just normal. I'm not blown away just because it's electric. I'm looking for something that does more, like road trips, track days, everything gas bikes could do decades ago. And with the SRF, the battery size didn't get any bigger, and the charging is still too slow, so it's not a road trip bike. There isn't a lot of usable power above 100 miles per hour, so it's not a track bike. It seems really good for commuting, but that's about it. And if that's the case, why not stick with an older SR or DSR? Less money, less weight, still tons of fun. That was just my takeaway from this test ride. It's crazy to say, but it actually made me like my old Zero a lot more. So no, I won't be buying an SRF. If it's only good for commuting, it leaves out all the other things I want to do. So I could go with an Energica EVA. It's a similar style bike. It has more power, it has a higher top speed, so I could potentially take it to a racetrack. And it has DC fast charging, so I can go on road trips. But it just doesn't have any more range than the Zero. So my other option is a Lightning Strike. And I actually put down a deposit for one. So things are going to get interesting. Thanks for watching, and I will see you guys back in New Zealand.